Emily had only lived in the house for 3 days when she noticed the first strange thing. And if she had trusted her instincts that night, she probably would have left immediately. But she didn't. Because how could she have known that the quiet, beautiful house she had just bought was hiding something behind its walls? Something that someone clearly never wanted discovered. And what Emily would eventually find inside that hidden room would raise a terrifying question no one has been able to answer. If the previous owner died years ago, then who had been watching her? Before we dive into this unbelievable story, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our next mysterious story. Now let's get into it. Emily Carter had been searching for a home for nearly a year. Every place she visited was either too expensive, too small, or located in a noisy neighborhood. She wanted something quiet, peaceful. Somewhere she could finally relax after years of working non-stop. So when her real estate agent called her one afternoon sounding excited, Emily felt hopeful. "Emily, I think I found something you're going to love," the agent said over the phone. "Please tell me it's not another tiny apartment," Emily laughed. "No," the agent replied. "This one's different. It's a full house. 2 floors. Big yard. And the price is surprisingly low." Emily paused. "Low?" she asked suspiciously. "Why is it low?" "Well," the agent hesitated. "The previous owner passed away a few years ago and the house has been empty ever since. The family just wants to sell it quickly." That didn't sound too strange to Emily. In fact, it sounded like an opportunity. "All right," she said. "Let's go see it." Later that evening, Emily stood in front of the house for the first time. It was beautiful. The place looked like something out of a quiet countryside movie. Large windows, small balcony, tall trees surrounding the property. The neighborhood was silent except for the wind moving through the leaves. "This is actually perfect," Emily said while walking up the driveway. Inside, the house looked even better. Sunlight poured through the windows. The living room was spacious. The kitchen had recently been renovated. And upstairs, the bedrooms were large and comfortable. "I can't believe this is still available," Emily said. The agent smiled. "Most buyers are looking for something newer," she explained. "Older homes scare people." Emily laughed. "Well, their loss." 2 weeks later, the house officially belonged to Emily. Moving in felt like the beginning of a brand new chapter in her life. She spent the first day unpacking boxes, arranging furniture, and opening every window to let fresh air fill the rooms. That night she ordered pizza, sat on the living room floor, and admired her new home. "This is exactly what I needed," she said to herself. For the first 2 days, everything felt normal, peaceful, comfortable. But on the third night, something strange happened. Emily was lying in bed scrolling through her phone when she felt something unusual. A cold breeze brushed against her arm. She frowned. "That's weird," she muttered. Her bedroom windows were closed. She got up and checked them anyway. Tightly shut. Emily shrugged and climbed back into bed. But a few minutes later, the breeze returned. Colder this time. Stronger. "Okay, where is that coming from?" she whispered. She sat up and looked around the room. Everything looked normal. Then she noticed something odd. Her wardrobe, the large wooden one she had placed against the wall earlier that day, was slightly moving. Emily stared at it. "Did I push that earlier?" she asked herself. The wardrobe had shifted just enough to reveal a thin line on the wall behind it. A line that looked suspiciously like the outline of a small door. Emily slowly stood up. "All right, that's definitely strange," she said quietly. Her heart began beating faster as she approached the wardrobe. She grabbed the side of it and pulled. The heavy piece of furniture scraped across the floor with a loud sound. And there it was, a narrow rectangular panel built into the wall. Emily leaned closer. "This wasn't in the house listing," she murmured. The panel looked old, dusty, almost perfectly blended into the wall. Anyone who didn't know it was there would never notice it. Emily ran her fingers across the edges of the panel. "Maybe it's just storage," she said, trying to calm herself. But something about it didn't feel like ordinary storage. Her fingers suddenly touched something small hidden along the side. A tiny metal latch. Emily froze. Wait. She looked at the latch carefully. Then she whispered to herself. No way. Taking a deep breath, she pulled it. For a moment nothing happened. Then suddenly, click! The panel shifted slightly. Emily stepped back. Oh my God. It's actually a door. Slowly, very slowly. The hidden panel creaked open. Behind it was complete darkness. And something else. Staircase. A narrow wooden staircase leading down into a space hidden inside the walls of the house. Emily stared at it in disbelief. Why would there be stairs inside the wall? She whispered. Her heart pounded louder with every second. Part of her wanted to close the panel and pretend she had never seen it. But curiosity is powerful. And Emily had always been curious. She walked to her bedside table and grabbed her flashlight. Standing at the top of the hidden staircase, she aimed the light downward. Dust floated through the air. The stairs looked old, but still solid. This is insane, Emily said nervously. But then she did something that would change everything. She took her first step down. And the moment her foot touched the second step, the house above her suddenly made a loud creaking sound. Emily froze. Hello, she called out. No response, just silence. And the staircase leading deeper into the darkness. Emily swallowed. Then she continued walking down. She had no idea that at the bottom of those stairs, a discovery was waiting that would make her question everything about the house she had just moved into. And what she would soon see inside that hidden room would make her wish she had never opened that door at all. Emily slowly continued down the narrow staircase, gripping the flashlight tightly in her hand. Each step creaked under her weight. Okay. This is officially creepy, she whispered to herself. The air felt colder the deeper she went. Dust floated through the beam of her flashlight, and the smell of old wood and damp walls filled the space. After about 10 steps, the staircase finally ended. Emily's feet touched the floor. She lifted the flashlight and slowly scanned the room in front of her. And then she froze. The space was much larger than she expected. This is a whole room, she said under her breath. The hidden room looked like it hadn't been touched in years. Old furniture sat against the walls. A wooden desk stood in the middle of the room. Several boxes were stacked in the corner. Cobwebs stretched across the ceiling. Why would someone build a secret room like this? Emily murmured. Her voice echoed slightly in the space. She took a few cautious steps forward, shining the flashlight around. Hello, she called softly. No answer. Only silence. Emily walked toward the desk first. The chair beside it was slightly pulled out, as if someone had been sitting there before leaving. That's strange, she said quietly. She brushed away dust from the desk surface and noticed something that made her pause. Scratches. Deep scratches carved into the wood. Almost like someone had been nervously dragging something sharp across the desk over and over again. Emily felt a small chill run down her spine. Okay. Maybe the previous owner just used this as a workshop or something, she said, trying to sound calm. But then her flashlight beam moved toward the wall behind the desk. And what she saw made her stomach drop. Photographs, dozens of them, pinned across the entire wall. Emily stepped closer. No way, she whispered. Every photo showed the inside of the house. The living room, the kitchen, the hallway, the staircase upstairs. Some of the pictures looked old, with faded colors and worn edges. Others looked more recent. But what disturbed Emily the most was how the photos were taken. They looked hidden. Like someone had been secretly watching the people inside the house. She slowly lifted one of the photos from the wall. It showed a woman sitting on the couch reading a book. The picture had clearly been taken through a small opening, possibly from inside the wall. Why would someone take pictures like this? Emily said nervously. Her heart started beating faster. She turned to the next photograph. This one showed a family sitting at the dinner table. Another showed a man walking up the stairs. Emily swallowed hard. Okay, this is not normal. Then she noticed something even stranger. Many of the photos had dates written on the back. She flipped one over. June 14, 1998. Another one. March 3 RD. 2004. Another. October 12, 2011. These go back decades, Emily whispered. Whoever had taken these pictures had been watching the house for years. She stepped back slowly, shining her flashlight across the wall again. And then something else caught her attention. A small wooden cabinet mounted beside the desk. Emily walked toward it cautiously. Maybe there's some explanation for this, she said quietly. She opened the cabinet door. Inside were several notebooks, old journals. Emily pulled one out and carefully blew away the dust. All right, let's see what this is. She opened the first page. The handwriting inside was messy but readable. At the top of the page were the words, "Observation log." Emily frowned. "Observation," she muttered. She flipped to another page and began reading aloud quietly. Day 32. The new family moved in today. They seem unaware of the viewing panels in the hallway wall. Emily stopped reading. Her heart skipped a beat. Viewing panels. She quickly turned the page. Day 48. The woman in the house spends most evenings in the living room reading. She has not discovered the vent opening near the bookshelf. Emily felt the air leave her lungs. Vent opening. Her hands started shaking slightly. This journal wasn't describing random observations. It was describing people inside the house. People who had no idea they were being watched. Emily flipped through several more pages. Entry after entry described the daily lives of previous residents. When they woke up, what they ate, where they sat, even private conversations. "Oh my God," Emily whispered. The previous owner was spying on everyone who lived here. Suddenly everything made sense. The hidden room, the photographs, the strange notes. Someone had built this entire room just to secretly observe the house. Emily quickly closed the journal. "That's enough," she said nervously. Her instincts told her it was time to leave the room. Immediately, she turned toward the staircase. But then something on the desk caught her eye. A single photograph lying face down. Emily hesitated. "Should I even look at that?" she muttered. For a moment she considered ignoring it. But curiosity won again. Slowly, she reached forward and picked up the photo. "All right, let's just see what this one is." She flipped it over. And the moment she saw it, every muscle in her body went completely still. Her face turned pale. Her hands began trembling. Because the photograph showed someone sitting in the living room upstairs. Someone sitting exactly where Emily had been watching television the night before. And the person in the photo was her. Emily dropped the picture onto the desk. "No, no, no," she whispered in panic. "That's impossible." Her mind raced. The previous owner had died years ago. The house had been empty. So how could this photo exist? Who had taken it? Emily slowly looked around the dark room again. The silence suddenly felt much heavier, much darker. Her heart began pounding louder. "Is someone else in this house?" she whispered. And at that exact moment, from somewhere above her, she heard a loud creak coming from the floor upstairs. Emily's eyes widened. "Hello," she shouted nervously. No answer. Just the sound of something slowly moving across the floor above her head. And in that moment Emily realized something terrifying. She might not be alone in the house anymore. Emily stood frozen in the hidden room, her flashlight shaking in her hand. Above her the sound came again. Creak. It was unmistakable. Someone was walking upstairs. Her heart slammed against her chest. That can't be possible," she whispered. The house was supposed to be empty. Emily had locked every door earlier that evening. Yet the slow footsteps continued moving across the floor. Up. Emily quickly grabbed the photograph from the desk again and stared at it. It was definitely taken recently. The lighting in the picture matched the exact lamp she had turned on the previous night. Which meant one thing. Someone had been inside the house. Watching her. "Oh my God," she whispered. Fear rushed through her body. Her mind screamed the same question over and over again. Was someone still living here? Emily slowly turned off the flashlight for a moment, listening carefully. Silence. Then suddenly, thud! Something heavy dropped upstairs. Emily jumped. "Hello!" she shouted, her voice shaking. No answer. The house fell quiet again. Emily's breathing became faster. "I need to get out of here," she said nervously. She hurried toward the staircase, but before climbing up, she hesitated. What if the person upstairs was standing right outside the hidden door? What if they knew she had discovered the room? Her mind filled with terrifying possibilities. "Think, Emily, think," she whispered. Then she remembered something. Her phone. With shaking hands she pulled it from her pocket. No signal. "Of course," she muttered. The hidden room was too deep inside the walls. She needed to get upstairs. Emily slowly climbed the staircase, trying not to make noise. Each step felt louder than the last. Her flashlight illuminated the narrow stairwell as she reached the top. The hidden panel door stood slightly open. Emily held her breath and listened. Nothing. Absolute silence. Carefully, very carefully, she pushed the panel open just a little more. The bedroom was dark. The hallway outside was quiet. Emily stepped out slowly, her heart pounding like a drum. "Hello," she called softly. No response. The house looked completely normal. Too normal. Emily walked into the hallway. "Is someone there?" she asked louder. Still nothing. But as she walked toward the stairs leading down to the living room, something made her stop suddenly. The living room light was on. Emily stared at it. "I turned that off," she whispered. Her stomach twisted. Slowly she walked down the stairs. Each step made the wooden floor creak beneath her feet. The living room came into view. First everything looked normal. Couch, coffee table, the television. But then Emily noticed something that made her blood run cold. One of the chairs had moved. Earlier that night the chair had been pushed neatly against the table. Now it was facing the staircase. As if someone had been sitting there, watching the stairs, waiting. Emily felt panic rising in her chest. "Okay, that's it. I'm calling the police," she said firmly. She quickly dialed emergency services. This time the signal connected. "Yes, hello," she said quickly. "I think someone might be inside my house." "Ma'am, please stay calm," the operator said. "Are you safe right now?" I think so," Emily replied, her voice trembling. "But there's a hidden room in my house and I found pictures. Pictures of people who lived here. And someone just took a photo of me." There was a pause on the line. "Officers are on their way," the operator said. Emily waited in the living room, gripping her phone tightly. Every small noise made her jump. The wind outside, the creaking wood, even the ticking clock on the wall. 10 minutes later flashing lights appeared through the windows. Police officers quickly entered the house. "Ma'am, are you Emily Carter?" one officer asked. "Yes," she said quickly. "The hidden room is upstairs." The officers carefully searched the entire house. They checked every closet, every room, every corner. Finally they discovered the hidden staircase behind the wardrobe. One officer walked down with a flashlight while the others waited above. A few minutes later he returned holding several of the photographs Emily had seen. "You weren't imagining things," he said seriously. Another officer examined the journals. "This looks like years of surveillance," he said. "Surveillance?" Emily asked. "Yes," the officer replied. "The previous owner must have built this room to watch the house through vents and hidden openings in the walls." Emily felt sick. "So, someone was spying on everyone who lived here." The officer nodded slowly. "That's what it looks like." "But the previous owner died years ago," Emily said nervously. "So who took the photo of me?" The officers looked at each other. That question they couldn't answer. They searched the house again. They checked the attic. They checked the basement. But they found no sign that anyone else was currently living there. Still, one officer discovered something disturbing. Small vents hidden behind the walls. Tiny openings that looked directly into the living room, kitchen, and hallway. Someone had clearly designed the house to be watched from inside the walls. Emily shivered. That's horrifying. The police eventually sealed the hidden room and took the journals and photographs as evidence. But even after hours of investigation, one mystery remained unsolved. The photograph of Emily. It had been printed recently. Far more recently than the previous owner's death. Which meant someone had been inside the house recently. Someone who knew about the hidden room. A week later, Emily made a decision. She moved out. I can't stay in that house, she told her friend while packing boxes. I don't blame you, her friend replied. The house was later put back on the market. But many people in the neighborhood still talk about it. Because sometimes, late at night, neighbors say they see a faint light coming from one of the upstairs windows. Even though the house is supposed to be empty. And the biggest mystery still remains unanswered. If the previous owner is gone, and the police never found anyone living there, then who took the photograph of Emily? And could someone still be watching from inside the walls? If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and comment below. Would you stay in a house like this if you discovered a secret room? Or would you run immediately? 'Cause sometimes, the most terrifying secrets are the ones hidden inside our own homes.